During an interview with Newsmax this week, Donald Trump made a gaffe that actually reminded people of one of the biggest policy and just overall failures of his entire administration. See, Donald Trump was trying to point out how during the Biden administration we had supply chain issues that actually began under Donald Trump's rule. But unfortunately for Trump, he couldn't quite pronounce supply chains and instead gave us this beauty. Take a look.
The country's finished.
In what regard?
I think it's not going to be able to function. I think look at even things like supply chains, things we never even heard about. You never heard that term.
Supply change, which I guess technically you could argue there was in fact a supply change during the Trump administration that of course did bleed over into the Biden administration. But this clip, because it contained a gaffe, of course went viral on social media, and everybody on social media was quick to point out the fact that the supply chain, not change, issues actually began during the COVID pandemic, which began under Donald Trump's administration. People tend to forget. I mean, it's been 4 short years, right? Everybody has a short-term memory problem in this country. People tend to forget that we couldn't find toilet paper. We couldn't find paper towels or napkins. We couldn't find soups, and most food items were just nowhere to be found on store shelves. I mean, I remember I couldn't get my kids their soup that they like for months. Hell, we couldn't even get Worcestershire sauce down here for almost a year. I don't know why that was affected, but it was, and trust me personally, that actually hit me pretty hard. Diapers, baby food, all of that. And yes, it did extend into the Biden administration and went on for well over a year. Problem is, and I've explained it at the time, but it's been a couple years, so let me explain to you once again what actually happened. During COVID, across the world, what happened? Businesses shut down. Factories slowed down, workers couldn't come in, or they couldn't have as many workers at a time. So as such, what happened was we were relying on the surplus goods that had been created. If you wanted to get a new TV, you're not buying one fresh off the line. You're buying one that's been sitting there for 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is. We weren't making new TVs, and I'm just using TVs as an example. But once that stock started being depleted, there wasn't a readily available stock behind it to replace it, no matter what the good was, because we weren't allowing people, rightfully so, to be in these cramped working conditions, churning out new products for us to consume. So once we depleted those stocks, that's when we hit the supply chain issues. Certain things ran out obviously sooner, like foodstuffs and paper products. But it did bleed over into the Biden administration. But it wasn't President Biden's fault. Hell, I mean, to a degree, it technically wasn't even Donald Trump's fault, but it began under him. So if he is going to attack Biden for it, then that would mean he also, using his own logic, was responsible for those supply chain changes. But again, COVID is the real culprit there, and there wasn't much we can do. We're not dealing with those issues anymore. Things have been righted to a degree. So moving on, right? But if Trump is going to try to make that a campaign issue, then the Biden team needs to do the same thing. They need to show the pictures of people in grocery store parking lots selling rolls, a single roll of toilet paper for $20, $30, $50. Right? People were arrested for doing that. The hoarding of the hand sanitizer. That all happened under Trump. So if Trump wants to bring up supply chain issues, then Biden has far more ammunition to attack him than Trump has to go against Biden. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.